My name is Sam Vaknin and I'm a columnist in Brussels Morning. A few days ago, I posted a video on this channel delineating 10 reasons why I think Hamas has won this war against Israel decisively. Today, I would like to elaborate a bit on the aftermath of this conflict, an aftermath which is not beneficial to Israel. The southern and northern parts of Israel have been rendered as uninhabitable as Chernobyl. The Jewish state has been reduced to a ghetto on the Mediterranean coast and in and around West Jerusalem. Both Hizbullah and Hamas are largely intact, though bruised. There is no need for a repeat of October 7th. A few cross-border raids or rockets would do the trick and maintain the Israeli borderlands, Judenrein. Israel has always been an impossible proposition, an island of non-indigenous Jews, some say settler colonialists, in a sea of angry and resentful, largely native Arabs. The only thing that stood between the Zionist enterprise and extinction was deterrence. On October 7th, and even more so with Iran's brazen attack, Israel lost its mythical aura. The war in Gaza exposed Israel and its military as the paper tigers that they are. Moreover, Israel is now as much of a pariah state as North Korea. No Arab, or any other for that matter, country will normalize relations with a country labeled genocidal and whose leaders face prosecution in the ICC. Everyone knows that the two-state solution is an interim step towards a one-state solution with a Palestinian majority. Western and international leaders advocate the two-state solution because, rightly or wrongly, they have come to regard Israel as an illegitimate usurper of Arab lands and an egregious, repeat aggressor. Israel is no longer just a guilt-tripping, victimhood-based nuisance, but a global threat. There are simply too many Arabs and Muslims, and too few Jews to justify recurrent massive disruptions to global trade and world order. And so Israel's days are numbered. Educated, skilled Israelis have been voting with their feet in the mother of all brain drains. The population of the Jewish state is now comprised, with few notable exceptions, of low-quality leftovers, the remainders of the erstwhile thriving experiment in statehood. The country's institutions, from its government to its judiciary to its militia-like military, reflect this inexorable decline in social and human capital. Worse yet, looming domestic and international crises are likely to consume the resources and attention of a depleted West. In an act of mind-boggling brinkmanship, Ukraine has just been granted permission by the United Kingdom, Germany, and the United States to use their weapons on targets inside Russian territory. This is one step removed from a declaration of war. Russia and its allies, including China, will not let this precedent stand. They will not take it lying down. A global conflagration is just a matter of time. Closer to home, the United States is on a path to its second civil war, as I've been warning for almost 2 decades. If Trump were to win the elections, he will establish a dynastic dictatorship and face fierce armed resistance. If he were to lose at the ballot box, he will re-embark on a still the vote campaign, and this time replete with overt violence and a countrywide insurrection. Against this background of anarchic tumult and self-preoccupation with existential threats, Israel's predicament is likely to be treated as mere background noise, most easily resolved by dismantling the Jewish failed attempt at self-determination. The seventh one in the history of the Jewish people. My view is that Hamas won the Gaza war decisively and conclusively. I will spend the next 10 minutes trying to substantiate this view. My name is Sam Vaknin, and I'm a columnist in Brussels Morning. Hamas has decisively and unambiguously won the Iron Swords or Al-Aqsa Flood. The epithet depends on which side you are. At any rate, it has won the war. There are 10 reasons to think this way. Number one, Hamas killed well over 2,000 Israelis out of a population of 10 million. Half of these were soldiers. The other half were raped, assaulted, massacred, and mutilated civilians. Number two, Hamas stopped dead in its tracks the emigration to Israel known as Aliyah, and it encouraged immigration by those who can from Israel, amounting to a debilitating brain drain. The confluence of these two facts created a sense of enormous uncertainty in Israel. People no longer feel safe. The war against Hamas halted foreign investments in Israel, especially in the burgeoning high-tech sector. Number four, the war decimated the Israeli economy, plunging it into a massive contraction as defense-related spending climbs past the 5% of GDP mark. Israel's credit rating has already been downgraded, and more is to come. The costs of the war hitherto are in the billions, with almost $1 billion spent in a single night to fend off an Iranian aerial attack with drones, cruise, and ballistic missiles. Point number five, the issue of Palestine and the Palestinians has now become by far the most pressing item on the geopolitical agenda. A Palestinian state is just a question of time. It could serve as a launchpad for attacks on Israel, which would ultimately lead to Israel's demise as the sole Jewish state. Number six, the war and Hamas conclusively turned ill-informed, Jew-hating, and virtue-signaling public opinion against Israel and against the Jews on both the woke left and the alt-right, but also among the denizens of the mainstream. Governed by a far-right, intransigent, and dumb political leadership, Israel's blatant war crimes in the Gaza campaign have rendered it an overnight pariah state whose image in the West and even in the United States is far worse than China's, North Korea's, and Russia's. Number seven, the conduct of the war drove a wedge between Israel and its only ally, the mission-critical United States of America. Consequently, Israelis have begun to seriously contemplate the end of Israel as a reality. Number eight, the prolonged operation in Gaza exposed Israel's army and much hyped military prowess as propaganda paper tigers. Over the past few decades, the IDF has become a glorified militia with an air force. The younger generations are hedonistic and not keen on sacrifice. Budgets have been cut to the quick. 7 months in, the war is at a stalemate, with crucial capabilities of Hamas still intact and half the hostages either dead or in captivity. Point number nine, and perhaps the most crucial one. Israel's internal cohesion has crumbled. There's no solidarity and no consensus anywhere to be found. The glue that held the improbable concoction that is the State of Israel has all but evaporated, exposing the irreconcilable fault lines in Israeli society. And finally, Israel and its leaders have ended up in the dock in multiple international courts, accused of a variety of crimes against humanity and war crimes. Even Hamas could not have hoped for a better outcome of its incursion into Israeli territory on October 7, 2023.